Hi guys, Andrew here from Vamos, ready to talk about whether Novak Djokovic purposely loses the first set when he's playing Grand Slam matches. So as you guys are probably aware, Novak Djokovic took out Wimbledon last week when he defeated Nick Kyrgios in the final and captured his 21st Grand Slam title. Something that caught my eye and caught the eye of a few people, I've seen some articles and some posts online and in some tennis forums, was that Novak dropped the opening set of his final three matches. So in the quarterfinal, he actually dropped the opening two sets against Jannik Sinner, which he then went on to win. In the semi-final, he lost the opening set to Cam Norrie and then went on to win in four. And then in the final, he lost the opening set against Nick Kyrgios and he went on to win in four sets as well. So that sort of caught my eye a little bit. Particularly, I found the Cam Norrie one a bit strange. So I don't know if you guys watched that semi-final. Perhaps you should go back and watch the highlights of that first set. But I felt, and quite a few pundits felt as well, that Novak dropped that opening set quite, I don't know how to put this. He didn't give it up easily, but he was quite... sort of just didn't really seem to care if he lost that opening set against Cam Norrie. And again, I kind of felt it in the other two matches as well. That maybe the second set against Jannik Sinner, he didn't seem quite as placid, quite as reserved and okay with losing that set. But in Kyrgios's match as well, in the final, I thought he dropped it pretty easily compared to what he's normally like. So that caught my attention a little bit. So I've had this theory, and I've told many a mate over the years, that I have this theory that Novak doesn't mind dropping the opening set in Grand Slam matches because Grand Slam matches are a marathon, not a sprint. And they're all about mental toughness and mental aptitude and mental application and making sure that you concentrate and that you've got to win 3 out of 5 sets. You don't have to win 3 sets in a row. It's just about winning 3 out of 5 sets. And I think Novak knows that. He knows it's a marathon, and he is probably the best player of all time when it comes to 4 and 5 set matches at Grand Slams. So I thought, what better way to put my hypothesis to the test? So here's my hypothesis regarding Novak Djokovic and losing the opening set in Grand Slam matches. So this is not based on anything. This is my feeling after watching Novak over the years. I'm going to see if the stats match that hypothesis when I reveal them in a second. So I think Novak, when he thinks or feels that he's playing an opponent that is quite hot, maybe he's going to have a hot start, someone who is a potential danger, but not necessarily like a Nadal or a Federer, someone who might take a set off Novak, start really hot, have a lot of energy, maybe has a home ground advantage. But Novak knows that if he just stays chill, reserved in his element and just plays within himself, I think Novak plays within himself in the first set so that he can mitigate the hot start of a potentially dangerous opponent who he knows is prone to going off the boil and probably isn't going to be able to beat Novak 3 out of 5 sets. So Novak is willing to play at 75%, potentially conserve energy, not chase down every single ball at 100% intensity, because he knows he may not even win that set because his opponent is playing so well. But Novak knows that pretty much anyone in the world is not going to maintain that high level against Novak and is going to drop a bit in form, and then that's when Novak strikes. That's when he takes the second, third, and the fourth set. Let's start against Novak that are underdogs. They generally play out of their skin potentially in that first set because they come in with nothing to lose. Novak's got a lot to lose. He is expected to beat pretty much anyone that he takes on, especially in a Grand Slam because he's got such an amazing record. But an opponent, they're just going to swing freely. There's no pressure on them. Opening set, let's say they take Novak out and suddenly they get to the second set and they go, oh shit, I can win this. Staring down Novak and he's on the other side of the net, knowing he's not going to miss a single ball for the next 60 minutes. Start to sort of get in your own head, and I think Novak knows that his opponent started really hot, and he knows he can sort of get the mental edge once the guy gets a little bit nervous, or not even nervous, maybe a little bit cocky, or gets in his own head. But yeah, that's my hypothesis. Djokovic doesn't mind letting the first set slide in Grand Slam matches. He feels his opponent is playing really, really well, and he just doesn't feel like he needs to overexert in that opening set because Grand Slam tennis is a marathon, not a sprint. And Novak knows that there'll be a dip in form that he can take advantage of, and then he'll put his opponent away. It is something to note that Djokovic is probably the most mentally strong tennis player of all time. He really digs in pressure-filled moments. He's actually got the record. I think he did it actually at Wembley against Jannik Sinner. That was the 7th time Novak has come back from 2-0 down in a Grand Slam match, which is the all-time record. Nothing even comes of this analysis, this hypothesis from me. I'm pretty much happy that I can shed light on Novak Djokovic's insane record in 4 and 5 set matches at Grand Slams, because you sometimes forget like how good Rafa, Federer, and Djoko are at Grand Slams, because you're like, yeah, they're the best of all time. They go pretty well, but like when you break down their entire career from when they're like 18 and now they're in their 30s, the amount of losses are just so minuscule. And they just seem to always win, and it's pretty insane when you break it down and when you look at how many matches Djoko has won in 4 and 5 sets. So let's look at Novak Djokovic's record at Grand Slams when a match goes to 4 or 5 sets. We'll start out with the 5-setters, the big boys. Djokovic has a record of 33 wins and 9 losses at Grand Slams when it's a 5-set match. So that's a percentage winning rate of 78.57%. When he has dropped the first set and it's gone on to be a 5-setter, he has won 16 times and lost 7. So that's a 43.48% win rate when he has dropped the opening set and it's gone on to 5 sets. So nothing statistically significant there. I thought potentially it was going to be higher. But obviously most of his losses in 5 sets have come when he has lost the opening set. So that's not a statistic where you can point to it and go, oh, Djoko's losing the first set on purpose. So let's rule out 5-set matches in that regard. When it comes to 4 sets, he's played an astronomical amount of 4-set tennis at Grand Slam. So he's got 86 wins and 17 losses in 4 sets at Grand Slams, which is a win rate of 83.5%, which is absurd. Dropping the opening set, he won 29 times and he lost 14 times. So that's 29 out of 43. So that's a win rate of 67.33%. Not minding losing the opening set. So when it goes to 4 sets, I'll say that once again, he has a win rate of 83.5%. When it goes to 4 sets and he loses the opening set, he's still got a 67% win rate, which is still pretty close to his overall win rate when it goes to 4 sets. So that is probably a little bit more likely to show a statistical edge when it comes to Djoko losing the opening set. I'm not convinced by that. There's nothing really there that I'm like, oh, that points to Djokovic statistically not minding losing the first set. He's definitely not losing the first set on purpose. He is still more likely to lose the match if he loses that opening set, whether it goes to 4 or 5 sets. So again, nothing there really. My hypothesis so far not really coming true. But one thing I want to point out is his record at Grand Slam since Wimbledon 2018 is ridiculous. And since Wimbledon 2018, Djokovic has played 27 4-setters. He has lost 1 to Rafa Nadal. I'll say that again. Djokovic has played 27 4-setters since Wimbledon 2018, and he has lost 1. Yeah? In that time, 4 sets, he lost the opening set 10 times and he won 9 of them. So in that match against Rafa that he ended up losing, he did lose the opening set as well. So again, nothing major, but that points a little bit more strongly towards Novak not minding losing the first set, because 9 out of 10 when he drops the opening set, and an absurd record when it comes to winning 4-setters overall. In that time, he played 9 5-setters. He lost 1 of them, and he dropped the opening set 4 times. So he won 3 of them. So again, the one match that he's lost was where he dropped the opening set. So again, nothing statistically where I would point to it as a reason why he would do that on purpose again. So nothing too enlightening from the statistics, other than marveling at what Djokovic has done at Grand Slam matches, particularly since Wimbledon 2018, where he's only lost 1 4-setter and 1 5-setter, which is an absurd record. One thing I'll point out, and I'm just going to go by like sort of feel here, I watch a lot of tennis, and I've watched pretty much every single one of Djokovic's Grand Slam matches since 2018. I would say that Djokovic ebbs and flows in a match probably better than anyone. Absolute expert when it comes to riding and managing the momentum of his opponent, probably better than anyone. So Djokovic doesn't necessarily impose himself on the match and take over and play his brand of tennis and like blow someone off the court. What I feel Djokovic does is, particularly when he plays dangerous opponents, again, this is just by feel, and obviously when you look at Sinner, Norrie and Kyrgios, 3 players that are extremely dangerous, highly ranked, Norrie even having the UK crowd on his side, Sinner being one of the most formed players in the world at the moment, and Kyrgios being probably the most formed grass court player in the world at the moment. He knows that they're going to start pretty hot, they're in good form, and even if it's not him losing the opening set, I think Djokovic a lot of this time is known as a slow starter. I've seen this from a few pundits. I feel it is as well. And I'm going to draw attention to the fact that I think since Wimbledon 2018, particularly as Djoko gets older and gets more confident in his abilities, obviously he rarely loses. And I will point out actually that Djokovic has the highest win rate when he loses the opening set in an ATP event. So I think it's close to 50%. If he loses the opening set in an ATP event, I think it's like him, Sampras, and maybe Federer or Nadal. I had to look at the stat before, but I can't be bothered looking it up. But it's he definitely has the highest. So when he loses the opening set, I think it's like 48 or 49% win rate at ATP matches. So it's actually a little bit higher than that when you get to Grand Slam, when you can't combine the 2, 4, and 5 set statistics. So so as he's gotten older, and I would say since Wimbledon 2018, that seems to be the catalyst in terms of looking at the stats. He really doesn't mind starting slow, riding the momentum of his opponent. So the way I would explain it is like Djokovic seems to start, let's say, at 75%. Like he's not trying his absolute hardest, but he's definitely not like tanking or anything like that. He's just playing steady, level tennis within himself. He's making balls, he's hitting first serves in, but he's not mentally taxing himself or physically overexerting himself where he feels like he can't maintain that level throughout a match. Because obviously when you play 5-set tennis, one thing to notice is match management. And that's what the big players do better than anyone. They manage the ebbs and flows of a match much better than the younger or more inexperienced opponents. So obviously when you play a 5-setter, it's going to be peaks and troughs in terms of how you're playing. Nobody plays a 5-setter like straight across the board playing amazing tennis. You usually play really well, and then maybe you have a dip, and then you play really well, and then you have a dip. So what Djoko thinks he can do, I believe, is he can hold a steady rate of play, something where it's not too mentally or physically exhausting, and he can ride the wave of his opponent's ebbs and flows and still win the match. So he'll play within himself, maybe it's 75% of his potential, and he'll feel, okay, my opponent, let's say it's Kyrgios, is starting really strong, really hot. Let's say he's not even talking to the crowd. There's no one in the crowd that has been having too much to drink. There's some chick with, she's only had maybe 10 beers rather than, what did he say, 700 drinks or whatever.
No one that looks like she's had about 700 drinks, bro.
So the crowd's not against him, and he is hot. He's pumping aces. And Djoko goes, you know what? Nick's playing really well. Too good. Djoko goes, all right, Nick, you're playing really well. You're going to win this opening set. I'm going to play within myself 75%. But guess what? In the next set, I'm going to come out. I'm going to play maybe 10% harder because I feel that you're going to be down. So as his opponent starts to maybe dip and go into a little bit of a trough, Djoko takes over. And he takes that next set. He wins that break. He breaks back, whatever he needs to do to get himself into the match. And then, a bit of self-doubt in his opponent. Maybe they feel a little bit, under pressure now, and Djoko just takes over, and that is his time. So he will take over and make his opponent pay when they have a lower trough in form. Whereas when his opponent comes back up, he feels like he can manage that and stay with them. But if they go really hot, he'll just let them go until it gets to like really, really decisive points in a match. So let's say it's like a 4-set tiebreak, 5th-set tiebreak. He's going for a break in the 4th set. That's when he will rise to his 100% potential, put everything on the line, do the split, slide into open stance backhands like he did at Wimby. Let's roll that clip now because it's probably my favorite shot at Wimbledon. Even though, not a huge fan of Djoko, but you've got to admire the way he plays tennis. But so I feel like in the big moments, Djoko feels, okay, I'm going to go at 100%. I'm going to put myself out there and overexert in terms of physical and mental exertion. But he knows the opening set, if an opponent wins one set against Djoko, or the first or the second set, or even both, I think Djoko's really going to back himself to beat anyone. Yeah? Maybe not Nadal. Maybe not Medvedev. Even then, I don't know. He's so mentally strong and confident. I think Djoko sort of backs himself to beat anyone. So, as I said, I think he rides the peaks and the troughs of his opponent's play and levels in form better than anyone. He knows that he can match it. If the opponent goes over and above and plays really well in that first set, or gets a break against him, Djoko doesn't panic. No, that's okay. You're playing really well, but I know you're going to dip again, and that's when I'm going to take over. He thinks he can be consistently better than anyone else in the world, probably of all time, over the course of a 5-set match. I think Djoko truly believes that over a course of a match, he will be consistently better and he will win the necessary points to win that match. So that's the easiest way to describe it. So yeah, what do you think in the comments? Do you think Djoko purposely loses the first set? Do you think this is all in my imagination? Or do you think he maybe just starts slow because he's nervous? I saw a couple of articles about that Djoko is going for the Grand Slam record. He's trying to tie Rafa up soon, so he gets nervous in the opening set. I don't personally think so. I think he plays within himself, but I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, I guess. But yeah, so what do you think? Do you think Djoko doesn't mind losing the opening set? Is this a figment of my imagination, or do you think it's like an actual tactic? Does Djoko purposely lose the opening set in Grand Slam matches against hot opponents? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you can. Leave a comment with how you feel about what I'm saying about Novak. And subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to follow us on social media, on Instagram, it's @VamosAustralia. On TikTok, it's @vamos.australia. I think that's pretty much it. On Facebook, Vamos Australia Official, but does anyone use Facebook anymore? I'm not really sure. And that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching, and Vamos.